I grew up in Corvallis, and so I remember going to the landfill when I was, I don't know, 7, 8, or 9, and there would be some days that we'd walk outside and smell a little funny. We kind of joked it was a dump day that day.
All landfills leak eventually. Either they leak now or they're leaking eventually.
We started to get ready to evacuate, look for our pets, look for birth certificates, that kind of thing. So that was kind of the most dramatic thing we've had to deal with so far. Otherwise, it's just this slow realization that there's always something bad about the air.
Public Services requested to have an expansion that was going to close down Coffin Butte Road, and that was going to cover over one of our main fire egress routes.
A national corporation that is trying to expand the dump.
Built into that was some language that specified the county would get a financial reward if they approved expansion of the landfill by this date.
The company doesn't care. They just want the dump expanded.
Hey, Rob, do you copy? Now just come over here with the cows and give us a help to keep and then get out. Just only need to dig it a little bit behind it and then get back up.
I'm Kate Harris. I was a former Air Force pilot, instructor pilot. I've got a degree in civil engineering and master's of public administration. Most importantly, I'm a mother to 3 young children.
My name is Mark Yeager, and I am a retired environmental and municipal engineer.
Yeah, hi, my name is Joel Geyer. I live just south of the landfill, there's just 10 miles north of Corvallis, and I work as a hydrogeologist as my main work, and then as a side gig I do bird surveys.
Our daily lives are impacted within about at least a 5-mile radius of the landfill. We see it visually when we're driving back and forth to town or to school. Days that we smell it and we decide to alter what we're doing, not going on walks, not taking the dog on the walk, not doing property maintenance. Numerous people have reported that on the really bad days you can even smell it in your house.
Yeah, everybody talks about the odor. That's sort of the most immediate effect. Just you get up, you wake up, and especially in the winter when the air is kind of dense and stagnation day, you just walk out the door and you want to go back inside, and then you want to maybe even turn on an air purifier or something, because it smells like, to me it smells like a chemical plant. It's something in there that doesn't smell healthy. It smells like pesticides.
EPA was here in 2022 and again in 2024, and they found massive leaks of methane, which is the constituent they were looking for. So you can have rotting organics like food waste. You can also have things that people throw away like paints and pesticides and those sorts of things. And many of those things have odors. And so this is a mix of odors that's coming off the landfill. Today we're on the north side of the dump, and the smell is very distinctive.
And then the other realization that leachate, which is what we call the garbage soup, it's the water that filters through the landfill with all the rain we have here and comes out the bottom. They collect a lot of it. That is dumped into the Corvallis wastewater treatment plant.
Now, a conventional wastewater treatment plant, which is what Corvallis has, isn't designed to remove the toxic chemicals that are contained in the leachate. So the leachate essentially passes through in a diluted state and is discharged directly into the Willamette River.
A few miles downstream, it's pulled back into the system, and that is the Adair drinking water intake.
The main thing that jumped out at me right away was that they've got high arsenic on the east side of the landfill, and there are areas down by Eugene and south part of the valley and over in Lynn County on the edge of the Cascades which have high arsenic. At least 5 times higher than anything that's been found anywhere in this county or the neighboring county.
You have a number of cities that use the Willamette River, the city of Wilsonville, the city of Sherwood, use the Willamette River as their source of supply for drinking water.
Yeah, this is known as the Helms home site. There were a few different families that lived here during the 1990s. There used to be a little ranch house, I think it was light blue, single-story house to the right of us here. They had the idea they were going to produce their own vegetables and also sell some vegetables in local farmers markets. But then around 1993, they noticed that their well was a little bit strange. They had it tested, and it turned out that they were getting DCE and TCE, it's trichloroethylene and dichloroethylene, which are industrial solvents that were probably disposed of in the early landfill that was just across the creek here. In fact, arsenic was also measured at higher levels than expected, cadmium and a few other chemicals. So they also were warned that that was hazardous to spray the water on their vegetables. Even though the landfill owns the property now, they had to actually cap that well and decommission it, which just means they backfilled it with bentonite and concrete so that it could never be used as a well. So basically eliminate that as a pathway for human consumption. The landfill's had a series of fires. They say I think it happens pretty often. They get a fire up there from what they call a hot load. Last year, it was right about this time of year, they had a fire from one of their flares. Something was wrong with this flare, and it apparently spat out some chunks of hot material and set fire to the grass field. There's a forest that's very flammable, and then our house and our neighbor's house is right south of that. So we've started to get ready to evacuate, look for our pets, look for birth certificates, that kind of thing. So
the company doesn't care. They just want the dump expanded. And the politicians and the decision makers seem to be biased toward getting that expansion approved.
North Benton County are speaking out against calls to expand the Coffin Butte Landfill. They say there are a number of health and environmental issues.
Some residents want to see the landfill go in a different direction.
Good evening. My name is Rose Holdorf. I'm one of Republic Service's closest neighbors. In 1989, the year I was born, my parents purchased our land from then landfill owners and were assured by the Bunn family that the landfill would never come across the road. We pay for our own water testing, and there are few wildflowers left on the landfill slope. What might come if Republic Services is allowed to expand a landfill site onto Tampico Ridge, the ridge that shares the same forest, bedrock, and water table as my home. The thought of a new landfill cell on our side of Coffin Butte Road keeps me lying awake at night. After 36 years, will we have to move? Will we lose all property value of the house, barn, and 60 acres? Will living here make us sick? How will the excavation of the cell, digging deep into our shared hillside, affect the literal foundation from which my family's life in the Soap Creek Valley was built?
My name is McKenna Bradley, and I post a land use application LU 24-026. I have collected bags of trash from my property to give to you guys. On the bag, there is causes of what this could do to my animals because it was found on my land. They have flown into my pastures. Did you know it doesn't take a whole bag of trash to kill an animal? Did you know all these animals can have reproductive issues because of this trash? I can't use my pastures anymore to put my livestock out to roam right now because I can't risk my animals dying. Because of this, I have to hand walk my cattle daily instead of leaving them out to roam happily outside. If I lose my livestock or they remain undue, bred to fertility problems, it affects my funds set away for college.
Hey, come here, girl.
If I miss one piece of debris similar to what is in these bags, I may lose a lot of livestock and profits. This would be a big loss for my schooling fund and also the loss of one of my friends. All in all, LU 24.027 land use application needs to be denied entirely, not just for the future safety of my animals, but for the next generation of kids that will inherit land near the landfill.
They have, as part of their agreement, a $1 million a year incentive to approve this expansion.
Franchise agreement, 2020 franchise agreement for running the landfill. Built into that was some language that specified the county would get a financial reward if they approved expansion of the landfill by this date.
The sustainable materials management plan that the county is embarking on now is to put together a long-term plan for what to do when Coffin Butte does close. It will eventually close, and we have local leaders putting together a plan now to figure out transfer stations or what that might look like in the future. The expansion is not required for us to dispose of local trash.
Their own health might be at risk, their children's health might be at risk. If we knew that everything was going to stay on the site, then yeah, you could do what you want on your property, but the problem is that things don't stay on the site.
We're starting to be known as the Trash Town USA. We have trash everywhere on the highways. We've got smell that comes down, that we know comes down into Corvallis, to the hospital, and down onto campus.
You know, we've just seen tremendous support, not just, you know, I've mentioned the local community and how people have come together here locally, but what we've also seen is in the wider community, people from Corvallis, nearby counties are also speaking up in support, and we're also getting recognition in the Oregon legislature that what's happening here is not a sustainable situation for the long run. I don't think anyone was talking about that 3 or 4 years ago, and now that the conversation has actually shifted towards what will happen when this place closes.
How do we support the health of our community, the environment of Benton County, but also the small businesses and the economic long-term health to ensure that businesses want to invest here and that they want to stay local?
What gives me hope is the fact that so many people have weighed into this discussion. 75 people sign up for public testimony. There's now 5,000 pages of comments in opposition to the landfill expansion. We have the Benton County Republicans, the Benton County Democrats, that we have so many people now who are pushing back on this concept of expansion.
I am speaking today because I strongly oppose Republic Services' conditional use permit application to expand the Coffin Butte landfill, and I ask you to deny this application.
In North Benton County are speaking out against calls to expand the Coffin Butte landfill. They say there are a number of health and environmental issues.
Some residents want to see the landfill go in a different direction.
The smells and methane leaks at the site are already enough of a problem, according to the EPA.
Just last week, we reported on concerns of possible air pollution and water contamination. Both residents and lawmakers are calling for the EPA to investigate. They're giving the company 180 days to provide more information regarding expansion, including the potential impact it would have on surrounding areas.
And that's the first step to the paradigm shift that we're going to need to implement here and also in other places in Oregon and in the United States.